You have tuned in to the Agribusiness Dairyman News Hour magazine, your 1 hour all-dairy connection. We call it the Dairyman's source for new ideas, information, and technology, mixed with a double dose of current market conditions. The what, the why, and the how things influence the amount of money dairy producers receive for their daily milk deliveries. We offer this daily News Hour magazine as a catalyst to make long-term dairy producers sustainable. We invite every dairy producer in America to get their daily dose of what can be done and what they can do to achieve and maintain profitability on their farms. $22 for 36 months is our goal. We advocate there is a way forward. We invite dairy producers to come listen, to learn, and to participate. This is a no complaint zone. We talk solutions. So get out your pen and paper. Here is your host of the Agribusiness Dairyman News Hour magazine, Tom Van Nortwick, owner of Agribusiness Publications, publisher and editor of the Agribusiness Dairyman magazine.
All right, good morning, and thank you, Stuart, for your introduction. I always think that's a little fanfarish, though. I want you to know. We're going to have to dial that down. But good morning, everyone. February 23rd, 2016. We express our appreciation for the opportunity we have to be, in a small way, connected to the dairy industry and to provide news and information as we have for many, many years in print. Our business is primarily in the print industry. For 35 and more years. In the dairy industry for at least that long, we have been able to provide printed news and information to dairy producers. That has changed dramatically, and back in 2006, we started making some pretty dramatic changes, really 2004 and 5, to become more digital, to become more available online, and to provide especially our younger generations with the access that they want and even demand to be better connected to the dairy industry. And so this News Hour magazine is provided as a service from Agribusiness Publications. We call it the Agribusiness Dairyman News Hour magazine, your 1 hour all dairy connection. And it's a shift, it's a transition for us to back up what we have always done in print. And so nowadays, we have an ebook file for our February edition of the Agribusiness Dairyman printed publication. You can actually go online, download the articles that have been narrated, not to the level or the quality that we would like, but at least you could take the MP3 files, download them into your phone, onto your iPod, whatever you want, and take them with you. If you're driving, traveling, you're in a tractor, whatever you may be doing, you could be better connected to the Agribusiness Dairyman magazine. This production, 1 hour every morning, starting at 8:30 in the Pacific time zone, 11:30 in the East, is specifically designed to give dairy producers a much better connection to the latest news and information. And we're going to do all we can to shout information from the rooftops, as we like to say many times, because we feel that's probably what's going to take to get everybody to pay attention to the things that need to be, that we need to pay attention to, including being market responsive with milk production on the farm, including embracing dairy pricing, a producer-led organization out of the state of Wisconsin by very qualified, well-versed, educated, experienced dairy producers who said, you know what, there's got to be a better way, and we're going to find it. And so they have. They've got an outstanding way forward. Now, as part of this show every morning, one of our most important things that we do is give you, as Stuart said in the introduction, a double dose of the markets. Sorry, but it's going to be that way. Until you get it, until everyone understands and responds accordingly, that this is where we fish or cut bait, right here in the markets every day at the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. And why? Because this is the garage sale of all milk and milk products. Now, we always say this: why do you hold a garage sale? And then the second question: why do you go to a garage sale? Well, I love garage sales, yard sales. They're fun. They're a blast. I have too much stuff, but I like things, and sometimes I need things, and there it is. Guess what? The reason they hold garage sales, to answer those two questions, is to get rid of their junk. And why do people go to the garage sales? Because they want to buy something cheaper, less expensive. It doesn't have to be cheap. You can find some cool things at the garage sale. But you can get them more affordably than paying retail. And so that's what the CME is. We call it the garage sale of milk and milk products. And so people bring their excesses, but a very sad thing happens, that as these prices are set every day, and sometimes no selling takes place, simply an offer, simply a bid, but no transactions, milk can fall. The price of block and barrels cheese can go down or up. The dry powder can go down or up, and butter can go down or up. And nothing gets done. Now, sometimes, like last week, tons of butter moved. Oh, man, big loads, lots of volume, because we do consume lots of volume of butter, blocks and barrel cheese, and powder in this country and around the world from America. But last week, yesterday's trade, we had prices going down and nothing traded. Nothing was bought or sold. So we're going to join Ron O'Brien. We'll kick in right now so that you will bring him up, add him to our group call, and see if we can get him dialed in here and do this. We're working really hard to make this whole system work a little bit better than it ever has before, but this thing is far from perfect. Okay, there we got him. This is not an exact science, but I'm always reminded of the movie where they're on that submarine.
148 even offer in the block.
Now, this is a live feed through Ron O'Brien's office. He is a senior global strategist with Interfoods, and he has for many years provided this window of opportunity to us to listen in as the buying and selling at the Chicago Mercantile Exchange takes place. First for blocks and barrels, then followed up by powder, and then the finish of the dairy products is in butter at about 5 minutes after the hour. So we go through quite a little extensive time here.
The block offered at 48, even a half a cent firmer. And we're going to close. Blocks at 145 half, down 2 on 2 loads trading. Barrels 143.75, down 4 1/4 on 1 trade. Blocks down 2 on 2 trades. Barrels down 4 1/4 on 1 trade. Stand by for non-fat in 4 minutes.
As dairy farmers watch profits slip away and a wonderful way of life painfully comes to an end for future generations, Dairy Pricing Association sees a brighter future simply by having a solution. These dairy pricing farmer members in 10 states and growing have figured out a way. Government handouts are not the answer. It's time for farmers to take matters in their own hands. Dairy Pricing Association is asking for farmers to contribute 10 cents per hundredweight to buy surplus dairy products to create a floor price, as well as helping relieve hunger in America. This is a win-win. As dairy farmers, we watch markets fluctuate as much as $4 per hundredweight in 1 month's time. 10 cents is nothing. Imagine being able to curb another 2009 scenario simply by controlling the floor price that you need as a dairy farmer to stay in business. With the dairy products that you as a dairy pricing member purchase, thousands of people are fed. No government assistance is needed. Rather, simply you as a dairy farmer are helping yourself by helping others. For more information, visit online, dairypricing.org.
The blocks and barrels this morning, continuing pressure down, unfortunately, because of rising inventories and a production report that tells us that we have states, even here in the United States, and countries around the world that...
All right, about to open up non-fat, 74 cents a pound, or 75 is where we'll start today.
But they think in their mind that the law of supply and demand doesn't apply to them, and of course causing devastating impact on the dairy farms of this country and literally around the world. We're joining now back up with Ron for the powder trades. Yesterday, powder closed at 75 cents, up a penny, and he'll walk us through. This should be fairly short this morning.
Now we're going to close 74.5, down a half on 5 trades. Be back for butter at 11:05.
All right, thank you, Ron O'Brien. Just finishing the powder trades. Powder off slightly again. Downward pressure, inventories rising. Demand has remained constant now, but not rising. But inventories are growing as a direct result of the inputs from dairy farms around the country and literally around the world. The global supply growing by leaps and bounds out of the European Union, and a little less, far less actually, out of Oceania. So this morning we'll come back with the butter trades at 5 after the hour in just a few minutes. Our cover story today is based solely upon an article written out of New Zealand by I want to say Marie. What was Marie's name? Now I've got to find my. And what she focused on entirely, Andrea Fox is her name. Andrea writes quite candidly about how could so many prognosticators of dairy markets, people who watch and see this all the time, how could they be so wrong about how low things would go and how long things would remain down? How long and low is really the focus of our cover story, also in our Agribusiness Dairyman magazine, the February edition, which can be found at my-dairyman.com. The cover story really says, what did we know, when did we know it, and then what did we do about it? And unfortunately, and I like not to be vindicated, but I am grateful for this echo from Ms. Fox about how could they have gotten it so wrong for so long, is the first question that she asks. As dairy price, this is her quote, as dairy price commentators sharply dial down their optimism on recovery timing, farmers are asking how could so many market experts, including Fonterra, have got it so wrong for so long. And of course, their need for optimism. There's always, and I am Mr. Optimistic because I know what can be done. I know what dairy producers are capable of, especially domestic here in the United States. They make the best product in the world. They can make all we need. They can fill every tank and every river, for crying out loud. But I also know that they could be working more closely together. A dairy producer who was on the road speaking to a group of producers in Michigan said my message to them in the end, because they asked, well, what do you think we should do? His advice to them was to work together. And that's really what this agenda that We Prosper is all about. The original contract with producers written in behalf of the National Dairy Producers Organization by dairy producers, collectively coming together, collaborating. They didn't always get along. Can you imagine that? Almost unbelievable. But they didn't always get along, but they collaborated together for a common cause, which was the sustainability of dairy producers nationwide. And now, as far as I'm concerned, we should be sending the same message globally, that dairy producers must be smarter and must be market responsive with their milk production. You got the production side down, got it. Home run. Everybody makes a pretty good product. Everybody can make all we need. But the game is changing because China and India and other countries around the world are using milk and the production of milk not only to sustain themselves and help their people, but as an economic engine for their country. And as we expressed in our publisher's perspective in the Agribusiness Dairyman magazine, we know that these are one of the top concerns that we have, is that you're not only competing with dairy producers around the world who have cows, lots of them, can't know how to make milk. Conditions not always as good as they are here in the States by any means, but they're making milk, and they're going to make more milk. And within 10 years' time, India and China will be the largest milk producers in the world. They will be self-reliant. They will be self-sustaining in those areas as long as nothing catastrophic happens in those countries.
5 truckloads offered at $2.13 in butter.
Here's the butter trades at the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. We express our thanks to Ron O'Brien and his group for bringing this to us.
2 offered at $2.13. 7 offered at $2.13.
Sharp rise in butter this morning. It closed yesterday at $2.08, up 2.5 cents. So now we're talking about $2.13. We're up 6 cents, 5 cents rather, 5 and 8, 13. Always good news. Plus something selling. Inventories moved.
212 half offer 5 times. And we're going to close. 208 half, up a half on 2 trades. Yeah, cold storage this afternoon show a big bump between last month and January's butter inventory. So that's what we'll be waiting for at 3 p.m. You guys have a great day.
All right, thank you, Ron O'Brien. Again, walking through the powder, the butter, blocks and barrel trades this morning. And as Ron indicated, the cold storage report will be out later today and predicting a large bump, significant bump in the stored inventories. Now, these are finished products. Understand that when we cannot sell everything that gets processed, the milk comes in from the farms, it goes to the cooperatives, the manufacturers, and the processors. It's then turned into finished products, powder, butter, block barrel cheese. Class 2, of course, goes to soft goods, ice cream, cottage cheese, and yogurts. Class 1 fluid goes into to bottled product that we all drink and enjoy, whole, low-fat or non-fat. And glad to say, by the way, that low-fat, non-fat sales are declining, and whole milk is actually increasing, as it should be. We need to be providing the best product, the most nutritious, but I digress. But so now what's happened is that we're not selling as much as we were selling, especially in powder, blocks, barrels, cheese. Butter continues to defy gravity a little bit, and that's great. That's a boost to everyone in the industry, domestic, U.S., as far as producers are concerned. But it has not stopped the slow and gradual death spiral of pricing paid to producers. Now, in the 1380s in California, probably approaching 13 or less. Will it go under 13? I have not seen or heard of any of that yet, but I think there's little chance that it will hold above 13 in the foreseeable future. Especially our spring flush is coming, as I like to say, and we're going to have more milk that school's going to let out, so kids won't be consuming as much. There's just a kind of a perfect storm to see some very low prices for Class 3, Class 4 milk. Even Class second, third, and fourth quarters of 2016, and even beyond. We make the prediction now, and I think, and I just hope it changes. There's lots of things we can do to change it, and that's why we're here. Is we are proposing that there are solutions, and that's why we ran that ad earlier, and we'll run it again and again for dairy pricing. Dairy producers have devised a way where you could be working together and move forward cooperatively with other dairy producers to name the price you need to be paid for your milk. Everyone else does it. No one else in the industry uses margin protection insurance because they've got you convinced that that's all you can do. But it's not all you can do. There's much more that can be done by dairy producers. And so we in our publication, the Agribusiness Dairyman, my-dairyman.com, provided for you an article in the publisher's perspective that outlined our 7 biggest concerns, and there's a great deal of negativity in there because there isn't a lot of positives to talk about. except that you make the best product in the world, and that we need to do a better job of delivering that best product to America, to Americans, and more of them. We are proposing in our publication in February that there are two major efforts that need to be initiated, starting here in California and then across the country. Dairy pricing is already underway, and producers have been supporting it in the efforts that we put forward in behalf of the National Dairy Producers Organization from 2009 through 2014, and the board members have continued to do their best. Unfortunately, they have no real understanding of how expensive it is to do what needs to be done and how much money it's going to take to accomplish the goals that were outlined in the contract with producers, and how much work it takes to convince producers to come on board, to make a difference, to be market responsive, to contribute as needed, because they already pay a ton. I was with a producer the other day who said to me, "Tom, what about the delivery costs? What about the hauling?" And it was a lot of money. On that particular dairy, it was $28,000 a month for his hauling, getting his milk to the processor. And his question was, whose milk is that anyway? And, should this is a very old tradition that has been perpetuated for a long time about who pays for hauling. Then when I talk to another producer, his concern is, that's just probably a battle we can't win. And certainly as fragmented as the dairy producers are relative to the power they need to wield in order to accomplish what they need to accomplish, the second producer is probably right. It's a battle that we should begin to fight because we can't win it right now. There are other things that need to be done, and certainly that's what we're underway to accomplish. The Agribusiness Dairyman 2020 agenda is specifically brought forward as recommendations from other dairy producers. We didn't invent this plan or what to do and how to do it. We have been taught this by dairy producers. As we get around the country, we learn of new and exciting possibilities and innovations that could be perpetuated. And so we're in the media. We're back in our seat as media representatives of the dairy industry, and in particular, the best interests of dairy producers. You cannot kill the rest of you out there in the dairy world. You cannot kill the goose that lays the golden egg. You can't just continue to burden these guys with more and more costs and then provide to them a price for their milk that creates for them a losing, bankrupt situation while everybody else prospers. Here's what it said. This is a reality about the differences that exist. Okay? Here's Dean Foods said profits in its latest quarter rose as sharply lower milk prices continue to buoy its business. Now you can see, and that would be the case. And if we were Dean Foods, we'd want milk to be as low as we could possibly make it. If you guys want to produce it for free and give it to us for nothing, we'll take it. If you're a processor. And that's literally what's happening. Dairy producers are producing it at below their cost of production. They're losing money on every hundredweight that they spend to make more milk, and even to be 4, 5, 8% over right now, you're decreasing the value of all milk, everything that's brought, not just the 8%, but the 92% that you were fine with. We're fine with 92%. We don't need 100% right now of production, of possible production. We only need 92. Guys, go to 92 because that makes your 92 worth twice as much as you're currently getting paid. Twice as much as you're currently getting paid. And we've seen it. In 2014, nobody died. Nobody crashed the bus because you were getting paid more money. You were getting paid profitable returns for your investment. You were able to retool. You were able to fix things. You were able to embrace greater efficiencies and innovation. Why? Because you had money. Is it too much? No, I don't think it's too much. Did you think it was too much? Anybody out there? Oh, yeah, that was too much. Take it back. I don't want it. Well, that's kind of what you did. Nah, we don't like it that high. Let's go back to 12. Let's go back to 15. Oh, quick, hurry. Let's go back to 15. No. I want to be at 12. I like 12 better. To me, that makes no sense at all. And so what we advocate is that there are plenty of indicators. Look at them in our magazine, the Agribusiness Dairyman. Come and listen. We will continue to drive this point home, and we're going to get better at delivering this product on this NewsHour magazine, the Agribusiness Dairyman NewsHour magazine. Digital, online, audio, video as something we have got to expand upon. It's an expensive process. It's not, but it's got to be done. And the media, all of us have to step up and do our part to help dairy producers become more informed, to become more in tune, to work collaboratively, and even to cooperate with each other. So what we do every day, and it will be an hour long from 8:30 a.m. in the Pacific time zone, 11:30 a.m. in the East, and run a full hour because there's a lot to cover. We'll be talking to dairymen. We'll be talking to vendors. We'll be talking to analysts and people in the industry. We're not there yet because we haven't even totally figured out how the heck to broadcast this thing or how to get it recorded so we can play it back and get our commercials built in, because we have advertisers who are willing to help us convey the message to dairy producers that there is a positive way forward. The one thing that we're going to continue to push is the expansion of the domestic market for milk and milk products in America. And I haven't worded that very often, but we are going to further that. And we have calculated, based on everything that you've taught us, what dairy producers have shown us, what the industry has proven, is that we could be growing the domestic demand for milk and milk products here in America by as much as 30% or even more. 30% increase in U.S. demand and consumption of milk and milk products. Now, that's worth going after. And so what we want you to know is that not only are we going to show you how to be market responsive with your milk production, not only are we going to show you how to help take care of these excess inventories, which are killing you. They're absolutely devastating the market right now because we're not market responsive and we have not used the proper tools that are available to us to make sure that we control the excess inventories. There are people who need that excess inventory. You don't. We recommend that you buy it. You've saved up for a rainy day in an account, and you come in and you buy up those excesses until those inventory levels are down to affordable levels for dairy producers. We don't care about anybody else's affordability, profitability. We want Dean Foods to survive, yes, but Dean Foods is going to make their mark. We don't need to hand them $14 billion a year of dairy producer money. The producer sector cannot afford that, and everybody downstream from the producer sector cannot afford that. And so the agenda is pretty simple. Be market responsive with your milk production. We're not talking about quota. We're not talking about government. We're not talking about you having to ask permission to do it. You can just do it. Work together, cooperate, and do it. Then when it isn't responsive enough, and it is not going to be, it's not a perfect science because cows are cows. This is not an engine you can turn the key off and everything stops. We understand that. But you can still not push things to the, I mean, really, Wisconsin, are you kidding? 4.3, Minnesota, Michigan, over 4% in this market. Are you kidding me? 4% growth. We're not talking about, any type of support from you guys. And yet your dairy producers are getting killed too. What the heck about that makes sense? Can somebody show some leadership in those 3 states and stop it? Could you just do that? Show a little leadership? Because this is not helping anybody. And so you've got to be market responsive. You've got to know when to turn it off and do what it takes, because it can be done. Don't tell me it can't be. It can be done. Producers have shown me how it can be done. Okay? And now what's happening, of course, to our Class 1, Class 2 producers, where you guys were a little bit shielded from this stuff in 12, 13, I noticed at 11, 12, 13, we were blessed with higher class 1, class 2 numbers. And now, of course, everybody's getting clobbered by this overproduction of milk, while demand has dwindled so sharply, and it's not coming back. That's the next thing that you've got to get through your heads, is that China's not going to fix this. And even if China could, and it was anything like it was the last time we went through this, which was 2009, okay? It still took all of 10, 11, 12, and 13 to bring the market back, because you were never market responsive with your milk production relative to profitable demand in the market. It took 4 years. You waited 4 years with roller coaster prices and losses for most of that time, even in 13. And everybody's on their heels in 13. But because they were on their heels, they didn't produce as much milk. And demand continued to rise, double digit. 10, 11, 12, 13, double-digit growth in demand. But it took 4 years for it to come back, guys. So 4 years from now, we're at 2020. Really? We're going to wait till 2020 to get this right? You really have to wait that long when you know right now, when we knew in 2014 what to do, when we knew in 2010, 11, 12, and 13 what to do, but didn't do it? You knew what to do and you didn't do it? Somebody needs to be held responsible for that. But you've already paid the price. We've already lost producers. We've already lost vendors. We've already lost businesses associated with the dairy industry who no longer are here because, frankly, everybody died. And they died unnecessarily. And so we've got a great opportunity here, because we know what we know, we can do what we can do, then we ought to get on with it. And one of it starts with collaboration, working together. It starts with market responsive milk production. Then we move to fully embracing and funding dairy pricing. 10 cents. That's what dairy pricing is all about. 10 cents for product, 5 cents for marketing. Step up. It's so cheap compared to $14 billion in losses last year. So then what we do is we get wholeheartedly behind growing the domestic demand for milk and milk products by 30%. There's a way to do that. The numbers are there. It's true. We can do it. Is it going to happen overnight? No. But as we've all learned, it doesn't take a lot. 2, 3, 4% growth, is a big deal. We've never had that in the milk industry in America for a long time. But it's bigger what we can accomplish domestically by taking better care of our own people and our own markets is much greater than all of the global demand. Because here's what we also know about global demand. You're competing against more cows in more countries than ever before, and those cows and those countries and those farmers are being subsidized, paid for, lock, stock, and barrel by their governments. Taxpayer dollars are propping up their industry because it's cheaper and more profitable for them to invest a few tax dollars for the benefit that comes from getting as much milk products sold to places like Russia, China, and those countries who still import milk. But those markets are all changing too. And over time, that will have a big impact. It's a game changer, we call it, in the U.S. dairy marketplace. So there's our hour. It's now 29 minutes after the hour. We've had some interruptions, and this isn't a perfect science, and we apologize. The best part is we have somebody who can edit this all together and provide for you some continuity of what needs to be said. You need to go online, my-dairyman.com, and read the magazine. That February issue may be the best and most informative production we've ever done to help dairy producers better understand their role, in addition to making the best milk in the world. Thank you for doing that, because I love what you do, and I love the products you produce. Personally, it's a big deal for me. But dadgummit, we can do better with the other parts of this industry, the parts that today are taking all the fun out of dairy, because there isn't enough money. As Doug said, you take away my money and there isn't a single problem I can solve on my dairy. And that's exactly what the markets have done. They've stolen the money. It's going someplace else. Deans and everybody else has the $14 billion from last year. You didn't get it. They did. Why? Because you didn't do what had to be done. So we advocate there is a way forward. Be positive, optimistic. Everyone have a safe day. We'll be back on Wednesday morning. It will be by then the 24th of February 2016. We'll see you at 8:30 a.m. in the Pacific time zone, 11:30 a.m. in the East. Until then, be safe and have a great day. Bye-bye.
To learn or hear more, please join us for our daily News Hour magazine, your 1 hour all dairy connection. It is broadcast live every morning at 8:30 a.m. Pacific and 11:30 a.m. Eastern. You can join the broadcast by calling 712-432-0900. Your conference PIN number is 666632#, or you can listen to the recorded call by dialing 712-432-0990, using your same PIN number for personal access. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and on YouTube. We truly believe you need to and can know more. Our job is to deliver more knowledge to dairy producers, believing that if knowledge is power, then applied knowledge is nuclear power. We'll see you on the call.